Morning all. All right, so career of Patrice Bergeron. Bergeron has announced his retirement. As was expected, we kind of saw this coming, so I'm wearing my Bergeron jersey. This is one that's emblazoned with an A because he was named captain, and I was able to get a jersey with an A on the front with Bergeron's name on the back as a result for pretty cheap price. So Bergeron 03-04, 71 games, 16 goals, 23 assists, 39 points. He plays in the NHL right away. And he fits in right away. He ends up 8th in Calder. But again, the thing with him that stood out is I never got mad. He just played like a veteran right away. 7 games in the playoffs, 1 goal, 3 assists, 4 points. And what does he do for an encore? Has an amazing season. 05-06, so the lockout takes out the 04-05 season. In 05-06, 81 games, 31 goals, 42 assists, 73 points. So this guy's kind of the limit here, right? His point total stays about the same the year after. His goals drop off a bit. So 77 games played in 06-07, 22 goals, 48 assists, 70 points. Now the following season is dramatically shortened. He only plays 10 games because Flyers defenseman Randy Jones runs him into the boards and hard. And so Jones gets, I think it was a 2-game suspension out of it. But for Bergeron, he has a broken nose and a grade 3 concussion. His season's done to the point where Peter Chiarelli sends him on a vacation, likely just to give him a bit of a break. And his season's done. They pulled the plug on it. So Bergeron only playing 10 games. That had to be tough for him because Bergeron's proven time and time again that if he can play, he will. And if he can't, he doesn't like it. So 08-09, he only plays 64 games that year. He ends up suffering another concussion. It's a collision. It's not, a brutal, dirty hit like Jones the year before where he'd been left motionless on the ice. It was scary. But that second concussion, the fact he played 64 games that year, made people wonder, so is Bergeron going to have a shortened career due to concussions, right? 8 goals, 31 assists, 39 points for him in those 64 games that year. 11 games in the playoffs, just the 5 assists. So how does he answer any concerns about whether or not he's going to be fine? Well, 09-10, his numbers get better. 73 games, 19 goals, 33 assists, 52 points. In the playoffs, he adds 4 goals, 7 assists for 11 points in 13 games. He also was 5th in Selke voting. So this is where now he's starting to get recognition that he's an excellent two-way forward. 2010-2011, 80 games played, 22 goals, 35 assists, 57 points. Again, with Bergeron, it's not flashy statistics. It's not a ton of goals and a ton of points, but it is remarkably consistent. 23 games in the playoffs, 6 goals, 14 assists, 20 points. He was key to Boston winning the Stanley Cup that year. He was one of their leaders. He was 4th in Selke voting that season. He's starting to take his place as one of the best defensive forwards in the game. 2011-2012, 81 games played, 22 goals again. His assists come up to 42. 64 points in the playoffs, 2 assists in 7 games. I believe Boston was knocked off by Washington in the first round that year. But he wins the Selke Trophy. So his first Selke Trophy is in 2012, and he committed the league in 2004. So if you are rooting for a young player who hasn't had Selke love yet, don't worry about it. It might come soon. Especially with now that Bergeron has retired. I think this kind of opens up the field now when it comes to the Selke, because as long as he was playing, he was in the running. So 2012-2013, a lockout shortened season, 42 games for Bergeron, 10 goals, 22 assists, 32 points. In the playoffs, 22 games as Boston goes back to the Stanley Cup final, 9 goals, 6 assists, 15 points. He wins the King Clancy Award, and he was 2nd in Selke voting. So his leadership is recognized, and rightfully so. He is almost a winner of the Selke. He could have had more Selkes. Absolutely could have. So, 2013-2014, 80 games played, 30 goals, 32 assists, 62 points. So he's back to the 30-goal mark that he hadn't reached since 05-06. So his numbers have gotten back to pretty much where they were when he started out. In the playoffs, 12 games, 3 goals, 6 assists, 9 points. He wins the Selke again, and he was 5th in Hart voting. That is as close to an MVP as he gets. 2014-2015, 81 games played, 23 goals, 32 assists, 55 points. No playoffs, Boston going through a bit of a reset. It's also the year he has his first All-Star game appearance. So, kind of impressive that Bergeron gets into the All-Star game, even though he's only recording 5 points for every 8 games played. He won the Selke that year. So, again, as a defensive forward, he's starting to become pretty elite. 2015, 2016, 80 games played, 32 goals, so that sets a career high. He would equal that career high, but he doesn't best it later. 36 assists, 68 points. Plays in the All-Star game again, and he was second in Selke voting. So that's twice now he's second in Selke voting. 2016, 2017, 79 games played, 21 goals, 32 assists, 53 points. He adds 2 goals, 2 assists for 4 points in 6 games in the playoffs, and he wins another Selke trophy. 2017, 2018, plays 64 games, 30 goals, 33 assists, 63 points. In the playoffs, he had 6 goals, 10 assists, 16 points in 11 games. He's third in Selke voting. If he hadn't missed 18 games, he very likely would have won another Selke. 2018, 2019, 65 games, 32 goals, 47 assists, 79 points. From a points per game perspective, this was a fantastic year for him. And if he had played those other 17 games, maybe we'd be talking about him being top 10 in scoring that year. In the playoffs, 24 games as Boston again goes to the final. 9 goals, 8 assists, 17 points. He's third in Selke voting again. And the injuries he played through in that run to the final in 2019, just remarkable. Absolutely remarkable. I would try to write them all on the board, but it's a lot. And it kind of ends up kind of cartoonish if I'm writing it in ink on this side. Just he played through a lot of injuries that would have taken a normal player out, and rightfully so. We can all ask the question about whether or not a player should play through injury, but Bergeron's answer is yes. 2019-2020, 61 games, 31 goals, 25 assists, 56 points. In the playoffs, he adds 2 goals, 6 assists, 8 points in 13 games, and he's second in Selke voting. One of the things that I've found just really interesting with Bergeron's career is it felt like he got better offensively as the years went along. The defense stayed just as strong, though. He was not making mistakes. So 2020, 2021, a shortened season as well. 54 games for Bergeron, 23 goals, 25 assists, 48 points. He adds 4 goals, 5 assists for 9 points in 11 games. Wins the Mark Messier Award, so another leadership award, and second in Selke voting. So once again, second in Selke voting, very close to another win. 2021, 2022, 73 games played, 25 goals, 40 assists, 65 points. Adds 3 goals, 4 assists for 7 points in 7 games in the playoffs. Played in the All-Star game. Won the Selke that year as well. A lot of Selkies. And this year, that we just concluded about a month ago, played 78 games in what was the best regular season Boston's ever had. His numbers were good. 27 goals, 31 assists, 58 points. If he had wanted to come back this year, I have no doubt Boston would have had room, and they would have been quite happy to bring him back. In the playoffs, he plays 3 games and has 1 goal and wins the Selke trophy again. I believe that's 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. He ended up with 6 altogether. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I know there's 6. My counting might be a little bit off right now. At any rate, he ends up finishing with 1,294 games played, which is 70th overall. 427 goals, which is 84th on the all-time list. 613 assists, which is 90th on the all-time list. 1,040 points, which is 79th on the all-time list for a guy who's never top 10. For a guy who never won an Art Ross, never got close to a Rocket Richard, he's still top 100 in every offensive category at his retirement. 170 playoff games, 50 goals, 78 assists, 128 points. He won Olympic gold with Team Canada in 2010 and 2014. That 2010 team was ridiculous. 2004, he won gold at the World Championship. 2016, he won World Cup gold, again with Canada, of course. 2012, he won gold at the Spengler Cup. So Patrice Bergeron is one of those rarities that he's got Olympic gold, World Championship, and he's also got a Stanley Cup to his name. So not too bad. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. I do expect him to be in the Hall of Fame. I think it's 3 years from now, right? And then he's eligible. I would think first ballot. But let me know your thoughts. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.